Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Chelsea Hyde. I'm an academic at the Melbourne Graduate School of Education and also a registered psychologist. Today I'll be presenting on collaborative learning in the online environment, building an ecology of resources. This presentation will address how relevant learning theories inform the design of an online postgraduate psychology subject and how such frameworks informed teaching and learning activities in order to increase student engagement. In the last 18 months, we've all had to make rapid adjustments to our teaching practices. I still remember the day in late March 2020 when all staff were notified that due to the hasty spread of COVID-19, we would be moving to remote teaching, effective immediately. Fast forward to September 2021, and online teaching is still the reality. Thankfully, though, I'm now more pedagogically informed in my methods and feel like I'm not so much flying by the seat of my pants. But moving a subject online does not constitute online learning. The big challenge has been how to keep students engaged in the online space and how to create authentic opportunities for collaboration. The subject I'll be speaking to you about in this presentation is called working with groups, and unsurprisingly, it is grounded in group work. The subject provides students with the skills to both facilitate and participate in group activities, preparing them to work therapeutically with groups in the field. And this subject, as I mentioned, was at the postgraduate level and had an enrolment of 25 students. Key to building students' engagement online was to build their digital literacy. The digital landscape is constantly evolving, and trying to keep up with online content for some students will feel overwhelming. In thinking about this, what resonated strongly with me was White and Lecornu's idea of visitors and residents in the online space. They describe visitors as those that do their thinking offline or post statically and engage with technology just as a means to an end. Whereas digital residents use the online space to express their opinions and connect to a virtual community. To increase student engagement, it was essential to create opportunities for students to be digital residents, to connect, collaborate, and share their thinking in the virtual classroom. The picture here is my own personal visitor-resident map, where all the technologies I utilise are plotted according to engagement. So, for example, the platforms at the resident end of the map represent online communities I readily connect with. Having students also complete this activity resulted in a better understanding of how confident students were feeling about different technologies and what platforms they were comfortable with. For example, a number of students classified themselves as Canvas residents. Therefore, I spent more time helping them navigate this system and giving resources. Similarly, many students identified themselves as Facebook residents, unsurprisingly. Therefore, this year, we're looking at ways to integrate Facebook as a collaborative learning tool. Shifting student perspective to more of a digital resident mindset enabled them to see interaction with technology and the online space as an extension of their identities as students, a representation of critical thinking and their professional work. But to support this, we need to ensure that students have an ecology of resources available to them and that we can utilise these to maximise opportunities for collective learning. Here's a collection of what I would consider to be my ecology of resources for online teaching. Regardless of the technologies that we're using, though, the important factor is that in terms of the design of teaching, what's important is how we are connecting together what we are providing across these tools to increase our students' motivation to engage. Now, this can really be a delicate balance, as using too many different tools simultaneously can have a negative impact on student load, whereby they just get stuck trying to work out how to use a particular technology or tool rather than actually interacting with it in the way that we'd planned. Okay, so how were some of these tools in the ecology of resources utilised to facilitate engaging activities for the students? The flipped classroom and peer-to-peer learning was used as a way of applying constructivist theory in the virtual learning space, enabling students to interact and participate in collaborative learning and group work. The emphasis here was to make students active in their learning, whereby they were responsible for teaching each other. Outside of class, students work together to gather information on a topic of interest. In this example, students were required to investigate 4 key factors that influence family functioning and child development. As you can see on the slide, these factors were divorce and separation, family violence, parental mental health, and parenting style. Then, when we came together synchronously during class, students were split into mixed groups, and they all presented to each other on the topic that had been investigated. This is where the jigsaw analogy comes in. Students begin in one configuration, become experts in that topic, and then all those pieces move apart and the jigsaw is rebuilt. In this task, students got to develop that in-depth expert knowledge on an area of interest and then consolidated their understanding by having to teach their peers about it. Now, it may have been because postgraduate students are super conscientious, I don't know, but the students' engagement and agency in this activity was high, and the work that they put in far exceeded what I had expected. As I mentioned earlier, a large component of this subject is group work and creating opportunities for students to assess how people perform when they're in a group and the different roles people assume in group situations. And I had many ways to demonstrate this in the physical classroom, but how could I do it online? I'd been hearing about virtual escape rooms as a way for people to connect and socialise during lockdown. So I wondered, how could I utilise this concept to create the group experience I needed and at the same time integrate subject content? Using a wonderful program called SeekBeak, I was able to create my own virtual escape room. So let's have a look. I'm going to take you now to my virtual escape room and show exactly what it looked like. So as you can see here, the students entered this is a library at the school where I work as a psychologist. So upon entering the room, students first had to locate the key to escape, which if we keep scanning, shows up here. So first of all, students clicked on this key to escape, which then brought up a Google form. Now, students were then required to scroll through this Google form, and embedded in this form were clues that they had to go back into the room and find where those clues were in order to answer each of these questions. So I'll just take you back into the room and just show you an example of one of these. So we had a clue that led the students to find this red chair here that looks like a hand. And clicking on the icon that's sort of embedded there, students were then directed to complete a quiz. So as you can see, it was a way of embedding subject knowledge and subject content in a fun way and a collaborative way as well. So in order to set up an escape room like this, you really just need a 360-degree photo. That's something that you can readily download from the internet, or as in this case here, you can take one of your own. So what I found in this escape room collaborative learning task was that the students really enjoyed working together, and in the online environment, it also created a sense of collegiality and connection that I think a lot of them were craving, given that we weren't, able to be meeting together in the face-to-face classroom. Okay, so that's all I had for you today. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Thanks so much.